Welcome, everyone, to the Embodied Woman podcast. We are so delighted to be interviewing Tina Aquila today. She's going to be popping on any second.
Yes,
So I think we'll wait to do her bio till she
let's wait.
comes on.
Let's wait. I love
Um,
your scarf. I think it's so festive and pretty.
Thank you. It's getting
Yeah.
chilly out there, so
Yeah.
I needed it today.
Oh, here she
Tina!
is. We should
Well,
be in song when they come on. We should literally be singing our embodied woman. Yeah.
Yay!
Oh, this is a fun party.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
You look
red.
good.
God, I wish I could wear red lipstick like that. I always think I can and I try and I'm like, no, but it looks so good on you.
It does.
You know what? You think you can't until you just like do it and then leave the house and live with it. And then people will be like, oh my God, it's like, it's a vibe. And they'll be like, oh, maybe I can. I never,
I've actually had people tell me no, that's
Really?
not your best look.
Oh, okay. I would disagree, but anyway, I'd love to see you in a red lip.
I mean, this is the beginning of a whole consultation for a photo shoot right here.
I was just gonna say we might start you in a nude lip where you feel like, most comfortable. And then as we kind of peel back the layers, then we might end up in like a spicy red lip. And I think you'd love it at the end.
Oh my
I'm
God.
gonna do this. I've never done. Well, we should back up because
I
our
know.
listeners don't even know what we're talking about.
I know. I'm gonna read Tina's bio. So Tina Aquila, is that how I say it?
Yes.
Okay, good, because it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love it. Tina Aquila grew up in Vancouver, BC. I love Vancouver. And while she has traveled all over, she now resides back in her hometown with her husband and two children, surrounded by her big Italian family. Tina is the owner and photographer of Vancouver's top boudoir photography studios. Tina Shoots Boudoir is what it's called. So her mission is to connect women to the essence of their femininity, to see beyond their perceived flaws, and embrace their unique beauty exactly as they are today. When we women look in the mirror, we tend to zoom in on the bits that we don't love about ourselves. We were just talking about this. Tina encourages you to zoom out and look at the entire picture. You are whole and you are a masterpiece. I just got head chills. And also I feel like you're helping women to see themselves as they are. That's what you just said. Like, not in this way that we've been trained to see ourselves, which is let's pick ourselves apart.
That's right. And not, that we're not enough or we need to change something about ourselves. And, the crazy, sad, and unfortunate thing about this is that all of us feel the same way, and you can look at a woman who, you think fits society's standard for what is beautiful and perfection and like whatever, the beauty standard is today. And she also has these feelings of not being whole or being unworthy or needing to change herself to fit whatever that trend is, because it is a trend, right? Like what society tells us that we're supposed to look like, it's always changing. It's always changing. And our bodies are not trends, nor are we who we are inside. And the only way to be truly happy with what you look like is to go within, right? And embrace who you really are. And that's where that feeling of wholeness comes from. And it would be amazing if we as women did not place so much worth on our beauty, but it's just the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And we do live in a physical world, and we are women and we are feminine and we do love beauty, right? In general. But that shouldn't define us.
Curious how old your kids are. Are girls, boys?
So I have a daughter who's almost 10 and a son who's 7.
Close to me. I've got a 9-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, very
Yeah.
close, similar ages. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're special.
That's beautiful. I love that. I was looking on your website and I saw the before and after pictures of the women, you know, just in their like natural self, and then the shots that you took. And you clearly are so masterful at helping them find their beauty within and feeling confident and feeling embodied. So like kudos to you for helping women kind of connect to that within themselves.
Thank you so much for that, because that's the thing that I really strive for. Like, I feel that, there are many great photographers out there that can capture a beautiful image. But what I want to do is do more than just provide pretty pictures. I really want to show that reflection of who that woman is at this very moment, because that'll change, and then they can come back for another photo shoot later.
Absolutely.
Do you work specifically with moms who have had babies and helping them feel more sexy, or is it kind of a spread of younger and older?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I actually am working with an SEO team right now, and they're like, who's your like ideal client? Who do you serve? And I'm like, well, women, and those who identify as such. But I have 20-year-olds that come into the studio. I have single ladies. I have moms, stay-at-home moms, working moms, entrepreneur not moms. And my oldest client was 77 years old. So,
Wow.
and everything in between. Like, I feel that the woman who needs this is every woman.
Right.
I don't think that, I don't think that the wherever they are in their journey really deserves to be documented. And every woman really deserves to see herself for as beautiful that she is, but also to love and accept that of herself. And, I feel like you almost need to do this when you're 20 and then 30 and 40 and 50, 60. Like, I feel like this is the thing that you need to do throughout your life. And each photo shoot, like I've had a client who's now shot with me 3 times, and she said to me, each photo shoot had such a different vibe, not only from the actual images, but just from what she was going through at each time of her life. And as she's developing, right? Because this whole, our whole journey through womanhood, it is a journey, right? And so I think it's a really beautiful thing to be able to document where you are at that moment.
Well, first of all, I love the word document. Like, I love that the word that you just chose. Like, we document, each stage of our life. So I love that. I'd love to keep talking about this, but I want to go back a little bit and just find out how you even ended up doing this. So was there a significant experience in your life that changed you, that got you on this trajectory of doing this? Like, what is your own personal story that brought you to this moment?
Thank you for asking that. And I feel like there's so many things, because I feel like I've lived so many lives, and I think we probably all have. And each life really brought me to this moment. So when I was in my early 20s, I modeled and I danced. And I loved that feeling of stepping in front of the camera, because I felt like I could really step into a certain role and just kind of play that role. And in that, I just felt really powerful, and then I had kids. And in having my children, although it's been, the greatest gift and the thing that's allowed me the most growth in my life, really, like even personally, when I had my first, I really felt like I lost a piece of myself, because I, was just all of a sudden, mom, right? And we did decide that I was going to stay at home for the first while the kids were babies. Just because, I don't know, the daycare thing is like absolutely bananas. It's very hard to get into a daycare, and I mean, all kinds of things. But we decided that this is what we were going to do. And so, and I love that. Like I loved being at home with the kids, but I also was craving that feeling of doing something where I felt like I had the control, you know, or where I had more power. And I also stepped into that like feminine, you know, magic, really, right? Where I could just like own my femininity and own my sexuality and just put that out there, and not be ashamed for it, you know? So, and then at the same time, my three best friends also moved away, like when I had my daughter. So, and my husband is amazing, but he's also a chef. So he's gone for huge, you know, just big hours, right? Like he's out at 10 to 11 a.m. and he's back home at like 1 a.m., right? So he's gone for a large majority of the day. So I very much felt like I was alone, you know, and I was very happy to have this baby, my daughter, but I was like alone. And
Mhm.
my friends moved away. So I was also craving not only like freedom and my own thing and having that power and, you know, owning that sexual part of me, but also a feeling of like community and connection and sisterhood. Like I was missing all those things. So while I was home with my daughter and then my son, I decided to kind of like delve back into my hobby of photography. And it just turned out because I was, you know, surrounded by other moms and families. I got into family photography and then I was asked to do some corporate stuff. So I didn't really have a genre, but I did all sorts of photography and I loved that. Um, and I loved connecting with people, but I think what it really was I was missing that connection with the women. And when I would photograph moms, right, for their family photos, like the mom was the person having the least fun, right? She was the one that was
Mhm.
having like the hardest time and the most challenging time. Um, because you know what that's like, making sure
Mhm.
outfits are coordinated, everyone's dressed, everyone's happy. And, you know,
Right.
it was just, it was funny me, like, so the kids would be like, you know, doing something, mom would be like, you know, like, come on guys, look. And it's like, don't worry, mom, I've got the kids. You just like,
Mm.
but there's just this feeling, moms have this feeling of responsibility and trying to make it all okay. So there was a bit of disconnect there from, you know, the photography really fulfilling me. And I was really looking for work that was in purpose and that would fulfill me like to my soul. So one day I went in, this is a very long story. I should have probably warned you ladies.
Bring it. We're
Time
here
to be
for
up.
it.
Okay. And so I'm almost halfway through. No, just kidding. I'm close to the end. But anyway, so I had gone into a family photos and, you know, then she asked me to go into her office to do some corporate headshots for her office. So I did that. And one of the women there was like, would you do nude photos of me? I want to give them to my boyfriend for Valentine's Day. And I was like, yeah, like boudoir. Sure. You know, no biggie. And, you know, I had no idea at that time that saying yes to that one thing would completely change the trajectory of not only my career but my life, you know.
Wow.
So you know, she came in and I mean, I've refined the process a million times over since that very first photo shoot in 2019, but at that time, and I should also mention she was also like super confident and bold and like, you know, again, like the picture of what society would call, you know, beautiful and perfect and great body and just like, you know, shoulders back and, you know, just she just seemed extremely bold and confident. So I was excited to have her come in and I was a little nervous. And so she walks in and she was almost like tiptoeing through the door, like a
Hmm.
completely different person, right? And walking into this vulnerable situation where she felt unsure of herself. And this woman just 2 weeks before came off as completely sure of herself. So I wasn't expecting that. And then of course we started chatting and then we started shooting and you know, she was a bit nervous and then I showed her the back of the camera and she was like, oh, you know, and it was like that light bulb moment where she's like, okay, I'm good, you know. And from that moment it was just like the photo shoot just, you know, snowballed into this like amazing empowerment session and she like worked the camera and so much fun. She had a blast, I had a blast. um and again, like back then, now I do things differently, but back then I would then edit the photos and then deliver prints to her personally, which I did. And so she opened up the prints and she started crying, you know, and it was like this beautiful release. You know,
Mm.
it's like that weight of, am I good enough? Am I enough? Am I, you know, beautiful enough? Am I all these things? And then just seeing in photos that she looked beautiful, but not only that she looked beautiful, but she looked like herself
Mhm.
in her most confident moment. And in that, that's the way the world sees her, right? It was just like I met her 2 weeks ago in a boudoir setting when
Mhm.
she realized that she could be this person and she was confident. And so she got to see that part of herself that she doesn't really get to see. And it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And that completely changed the game for me. I was like, this is what I want to do. And then funny enough, I just ran into her again a few weeks ago. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we started talking and I was like, I don't think you know this, but that one photo shoot, like she's not really on social media. So it's not like we've, you know, kept in touch. I keep in touch with like all my clients, you know, the whole social media thing. Most of my clients find me through social media, but that was a unique situation. I was like, I don't know if you know this, but you've completely changed the trajectory of my career. And she was like, what? And I was like,
Wow.
yeah. And I just like told her the whole thing. And she's like, oh my God, I'm gonna come in for another boudoir shoot. So yeah, we're scheduling her in to come back in early in the new year. But that is the story. And in that, like I've found my connection, my purpose, that sisterhood, that feeling of community, that feeling of you know, stepping. I mean, I've created this entire space based on feeling feminine and allowing the space for those to unravel and be themselves in whatever capacity that means, right? And I feel like I'm so in purpose going to work every day. And
Mm.
yeah, so to make a short story long, as my husband likes to say,
That was
It's
an
incredible.
incredible story.
yeah.
Incredible, incredible, incredible. Can I say one thing and then it's going to be your turn, Siri, but I just
Yes,
have
and
to say,
yes.
when you were talking, Tina, like, first of all, you're gorgeous. And second of all, like, as a gorgeous woman who is lit up by helping other women feel gorgeous, like externally and internally, like you genuinely, I can feel that, like you genuinely love helping women feel their most beautiful, empowered, embodied self. And like, it just makes me want to jump for joy because that's not the world that many of us lived in for a lot of our life, where other women were like rooting for us to be our most amazing selves. And so that's why Siri and I are here. That's why we are doing what we're doing. And so it's such a pleasure to like meet people like you who also are like genuinely on a deep soul level, like feel like in purpose by helping other women feel like their most empowered, embodied self. So yay for you.
You know, that's so nice of you to say. And that's, you know, one of the reasons why I was so excited to come on here today, because what you ladies are doing is exactly the same thing, right?
Mhm.
You know, I think once you start living in purpose, you find other people who are doing the same. And then you realize like, this can be normal. Whereas really, if you would have asked me when I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and, you know, the whole thing and was a stay-at-home mom, like I wouldn't even have known this was possible, you know,
Right.
but in saying that yes to that one person, you know, sure, why not, you know, and just going for it. Yeah, I mean, it led to that then led to, you know, other things. And then how Siri and I met, right, in this group that we're in. And here I am with you ladies. So yeah, life, I just feel can unfold so beautifully if you let it, and the connections that can happen. Like you ladies are lighting me up. So thank you for saying that I'm lit up, because I'm lit up in your presence. So thank you.
Mm.
Thank you.
You're
Say yes.
so
Right, Siri?
welcome. I know
That's
when
it.
I heard that
Say yes.
part of the story, I just said yes. I was like, oh my gosh, that is Amber's whole saying. So Tina, You did give us a lot of background, but are there any specific times in your life that you feel like were particularly preparing you? When you look back, like, oh, that moment when I was a teenager looking in the mirror, or whatever that was for you, are there particular moments now when you look back that you're just like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense now?
Siri, that is such a great question. Like, your questions are just so amazing. Thank you for asking them, because I feel like I don't know. And then you ask that question and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know exactly, you know? So growing up, I don't know, I was 12, 12. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that led up to that moment that were maybe subconscious, but when I was 12, there was a cute boy who I had a crush on, and he called me fat. And I grew up in the, 80s and 90s. And so at that time, I was at that very vulnerable stage where the early 90s supermodels, we were really thin and tall. And you remember Kate Moss, of course.
Hmm.
And, um, and I had never even really looked at myself in the mirror, like, I mean, I remember my best friend and I would like swap clothes, and we had like a clothes schedule of what we would wear on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we'd swap. And it was like the cutest thing. So, I mean, I was aware of, like, I like to kind of dress myself, but I didn't actually look in the mirror. And when he said that, because at that, first of all, it's a terrible word. I hate that word. But at that time, everybody was looking at these gorgeous, very thin and tall supermodels. And I look absolutely nothing like that,
Hmm.
Most
I
of us
remember,
don't.
no, right.
Yeah.
And I remember looking in the mirror and being like, and all of a sudden, like, I saw things that were always there, but I had never noticed. And that moment, and I mean, he was also just a kid, right? Like, I don't blame him
Hmm.
for that experience. That moment triggered a whole like 20 years of total body dysmorphia and like dieting and working out to basically burn off anything that I had eaten in my last meal. And it went on for the better part of, I mean, my entire teens and for a good part of my 20s. And in my 20s, when I got into modeling, I guess for me, I felt like that was almost validation, you know, in a way. And it was negative because it was seeking external validation. But at that time, I was like doing a lot of yoga and I was eating really healthy and, like whole foods and all that stuff. And so I felt like I was really healthy and in a really good place.
Hmm.
But looking back at that, I really wasn't, like I was always, not eating this and restricting everything. And just like, I was just, at the end of the day, I was just punishing myself and I didn't love myself. And when I had my daughter, I gained a ton of weight, like 80 pounds on my little frame. And I remember my doctor saying something to me and I was like, I don't know, like, I guess I just gain a lot of weight when I'm pregnant, and I remember her being like, you need to stop. And I'm just like, I can't stop, and I was like, whatever, like, I'll worry about that later, I thought to myself. But in that thing of like, my body at that time wasn't mine, right? Like, it was literally the vessel to grow this child. And I didn't have that control over myself. And I believe that it was in those moments that I was starting to learn to, or just have an awareness that what I look like is not the most important thing about me.
Hmm.
And also, another moment was, I remember my daughter being, because then I had my daughter and then it was all about, let's get back to what I used to look like, right? Let's get back in shape.
Bounce back. You got to bounce
The
back.
bounce back. Yes, the bounce back. And that was another thing that just didn't happen for me. I did not bounce back. Like, you'd hope. So, which was fine. But again, I was like, okay, so now trying to figure out, like, how to eat healthy when I'm like super tired and I just want to like comfort eat and like all that stuff and go to the gym while my husband's at home and, like really trying to just like figure out this new lifestyle. And so anyways, my daughter was, I think she was like 2 years old or maybe a little bit younger. And she had like this pretty little tutu on and she was like twirling in the mirror and she's like, Mama, I'm so beautiful. And she was like, with her like chunky legs with all the rolls and just like her arms with like the rubber band rolls, like that was my daughter. She was like the cutest little thing. And I was like, yes, you are, and at that moment, I was like, how long am I going to hate myself for? Like, I really realized the contrast between what a child, how much they love and accept themselves compared to like hitting that 12-year-old or 11 or whatever it happens, right? And then just start hating, And I realized at that moment, like, how long am I going to start hating myself? And before that, hate was never a word that I would use to describe myself. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't hate myself, but it was the contrast that I was like, wow. So that was a major pivotal moment. Another thing was, I had this group of friends and I guess I built these friendships that were around like essentially diet culture, right? Like we were all meeting up to go for a workout or doing this. And I think that's like great. Like can be really healthy, but we'd be talking about what we weren't eating, what we were doing and how much weight someone gained or lost, or, like, oh, I put on 2 pounds, like whatever it is. And so I'm like talking with my friend, I have my daughter in the stroller and the word carbs was brought up so many times and it wasn't her fault. Like I was living it too. And every time I heard her use the word carb, it was almost like, oh, like I couldn't hear it because I was like, look at this language and just like, look at what we're talking about. And here we have this innocent little baby who doesn't give a shit about what a carb is and nor should they, and nor should we really. So pardon my French, but
You can curse.
okay. I was like,
we curse.
We like it. We like it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and it just felt so gross. It felt gross. And that would have been like another. So it was kind of like those 3 moments I think were so defining to me.
Yes.
And really did bring me to where I am today. And when women walk in and they are feeling like, I feel like a lot of women walk into the studio and they feel like they need to tell me everything that's wrong with them. Right? Like, so like, okay, just putting it out there. I have cellulite, my rolls, like all the things, right? And it's like they're giving it to me just so that I'm aware because I'm about to see it. So like brace myself. And it's I feel like going through what I had gone through and all of that, I feel so much love for them because I'm like, like you can set that all down here, and it's a beautiful thing to watch them at the end, looking at their photos on the big screen. And, I do edit their photos to their specifications, but I show them their photos unedited.
Okay.
And right. And so they can see the dimples and the scars and the things that make them imperfect or the perceived flaws, as I mentioned. But it's beautiful, right? They're beautiful because you see the whole picture. And it really is like when you look at a canvas of any painting ever created, like there is always the bits and the, things that are kind of rough. Like if you were to just like zero in on that one thing, you'd be like, but when you zoom out, it's like the whole picture is so beautiful and they get to see that. And yeah, so full circle.
It's really like therapy.
It is. And every single human being has an experience, a pivotal moment, one of many, but like the one that you talked about at 12 years old with that little boy saying that to you, I think it's so important because a lot of people I think go, oh, well, that, that wasn't a big deal. But like no, those are significant moments. Those are impactful moments that we carry. I had an experience at 12 also that I totally like carried with me for the, you know, most of my life. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that, and just to validate that, yes, that is important to recognize. And as an adult, now we can look back and we can go, God, like, sweet little child, like you took that personally, you know,
Yeah.
you carried
Well,
that with you, right?
Amber, you just reminded me of when I was like probably 12,
Uh-huh.
13, something like that. Sorry, Dad, but my dad said I was trying on clothes that he was buying for me, and he said, maybe you shouldn't wear shorts. And from then on, I didn't wear shorts.
Mm,
I covered my legs the rest of my I still don't wear short things.
yeah,
Oh, I wish I could hug you right now.
I know.
Like,
Ugh.
you know, none of the things that were said to us,
Mm,
none of them should have been taken to the level that we took them, but they were.
Right, because he probably doesn't remember saying it.
No, of course not, right? Like this kid, like, like who knows where he even got this from.
exactly,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
and but we
Mm,
do, and having a daughter who's almost 10, like I hope that I'm able to soften the blow to her whenever it happens.
yeah.
Whenever it comes time that someone says something that makes her realize that she feels unworthy, right? I hope I'm able to soften it in some way.
Yeah.
I have to share this story. My daughter, she's 11, and I do think that the way that we are living, the way that we are embodying our true soul self, it is making a difference. Because my daughter said to me, there was a boy in her class that she had a crush on. Okay, so apparently he hasn't shown any interest in her, and she literally said to me, she goes, I asked her, I was like, "How's B? I'll call him B. How are you feeling about B? Are you still crushing on him?" And she's like, you know, I think I'm over it. Like, he's not into me. So, and I was like, yes, like, absolutely. And I go, that's great, because there's going to be so many other boys that are going to absolutely adore you. So, yes, don't spend another minute on this kid who doesn't see you yet for whatever reason. Like, she didn't take it personally. She just said, yeah, I'm kind of over him. He's not into me. So I was like, great.
I love
Right?
that. I love
Right?
that. I do feel like we are raising a different generation of women here. And what
Mm-hmm.
that will look like in 20 years from now, I don't know.
Right.
But I do feel like us going through the experiences that we've been through, will hopefully
Yeah.
change things for them. You
My
know,
my little sister just posted obligatory post breakup pole dancing class. We didn't I didn't really know about pole dancing when I was her age. I mean, that would have been amazing.
right? And that's the thing. Like, I love how that this generation just knows, like, yeah, like I just need to get my groove back. I just need to like get in touch with that sexual part of me and just like, like I didn't
Yeah.
even know if I even really felt. I mean, I did and I didn't, but I don't know. I'm just, and I guess like every decade unlocks a new level really of like that connecting to your feminine power and that level of sexuality that's just deeper than like the superficial stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm in my 40s now and like I feel like I'm happy to be here. Like I'm happy to be here at this age, mid 40s, because I feel like, yeah, every decade almost unlocks a new level.
Yes. What does the embodied woman mean to you?
Wow.
Take your time.
The embodied woman to me is a woman who has journeyed through her life, has walked through all of the things, has done and been through hard shit, right? And still, she's still here. And that hasn't hardened her, you know, like it's taught her stuff. It's taught her what she needed to know, but she's not hard. She's not cold. She's still soft. She's still nurturing. She's still loving, and even more so loving because she's been through that, because she knows what it's like to be disconnected from her own love. And
Oh my
that,
God.
to me, I think is what is an embodied woman.
I love that so much.
That's an incredible answer. I
You
love that so much too.
honestly, being in your presence feels so good. Thank you for just allowing me to say whatever comes to mind. You know, I appreciate that. This type of conversation is so liberating, you know, and
Yay.
it's really satisfying to my soul. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this. And I have chills too. I have chills being in your lady's presence. So thank you.
Oh,
Well, this is incredibly satisfying to us too. Like these conversations are just, they're everything. And like your answer, we haven't had an answer that was like that. That's it. And that is the divine feminine. Like exactly what you said, like all the pain and all the wounds and all the shit that we've been through, you know, heartbreaks and all the stuff, like we have returned to this place of love, of loving ourselves and loving others. And that is the divine feminine, like really, right? The ability to navigate everything that we've been through and to still be love, because our natural essence is love. As women, right? Our natural essence is love. It's who we came into this world as. And life, you know, took us on all these crazy, you know, adventures. And yet here we are, like being love, embodying love.
Yes.
That is success. And please remind me of that, Siri, when I forget and when I think I'm not successful. Like I am love. We are love. That is
the whole freaking point.
that is it.
That's the whole
Yes.
Yes, I love that.
Amber, do you want to ask about tools?
Yes, I do. So I would love to hear about what are some practices that help you feel your most embodied. You mentioned something about dance earlier, and as a dancer, I'd love to hear anything about that. But anything else that, you know, like if you feel like you're kind of, you know, getting disconnected or off track or maybe not feeling as embodied, like what are your go-tos that just bring you right back to who you are?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, when I started this business, like when I was like, okay, it's officially official. I'm going all in. I'm going to specialize in boudoir photography. I'm going to get this studio. I'm going to do all of this stuff. You know, I then lost myself again because I felt so in purpose working, but I also forgot to, you know, the divine feminine urge to actually slow down and nurture my own self. So I'm kind of getting back to this now, like since this summer, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh yeah, I've figured this out for years now. Like this is new. And so dance, I have not gone back to dance. And I'm just like, I know I need to, but I feel like I need to start slow because I'm like, I don't know if I can handle a head whip right now. You know, I have to put myself out for a while. But movement has been huge. Like movement, whether it be going out for a jog or I just joined this new gym and I'm like weightlifting it again. And I'm like, oh, this feels good, you know? So movement is huge. And also music. So I guess part of the dance thing, although I'm not officially dancing, but I'm rocking out in my car. loud, drop off the kids and just crank that music. Don't care who's watching and just rock out in my car. Feels so good. And also getting still and quiet and turning inward and meditating. But I have found, like, through this process that I wish I could wake up and just sit cross-legged in my bed and meditate, but I don't wake up that way. Like, I still wake up kind of like with 100 things going on, like in my head and in here in my chest. And so movement first thing in the morning is so important for me because I just need to shake that off, and then I can get still and meditate. And so, yeah, movement, music, meditation. Oh, those are 3 M's.
The 3 M's.
Hey, I just discovered that. But yeah, those 3 things. And sometimes though, like meditation is even just like cuddling up with my daughter or my son and just taking a big inhale of the tops of their heads. Like something about the smell of the tops of their heads just goes, and it
The
just feels
pheromones, yes.
Yes. So sometimes just that and eyes closed while we're watching a show, but I can just sit there and just like inhale, is a meditation for me. So yeah, the meditation looks different.
Okay, I'm curious what you do for the women that come into your studio to get them loosened up.
Okay, so that's a great question. Women almost, I'm going to say like 99% of the time, because there has been a few that walk in and they're like ready to do I'm ready to do this, right? Like, but most will walk in pretty nervous. I'm so nervous, and it's like, it's so normal. That's normal. You won't be nervous for long. And so I think just coming in and being in the energy, so they'll sit and they'll have their hair and makeup done. And I have 2 hair and makeup artists. They are amazing. Like we are just like this solid team. They just know how to help women relax and unwind in the hair and makeup chair. So sitting in the energy of the studio, which, I've, created this space, but the energy really comes from every woman who's ever walked in here, and I have a board. And so as women leave, they will write a note to the next woman who will be coming.
Oh,
Wow.
And
That's
so
really
after they've had the experience, right? So they're like, you got this, girl, or like, I know you're nervous right now, but, and these like little love notes. And, almost everybody does one, right? So the women, a woman will walk in, she'll say, I'm so nervous. We know you're going to be good, and we pump her up, and then she sits in the energy, and the energy is really just loving. And there's no assumptions about who she is or isn't, like she can just be. And then she starts to talk, and she just, the story or whatever it is that she needs to let out, she does. And we listen, and we listen and we just allow. And then after hair and makeup, the nervousness kind of comes back. And then, so I have 2 floors, and then we'll walk up into the studio. And again, the energy of the studio. And then she'll go into her fitting room and there's the love notes. And so there is that comfort and there's that encouragement. And then we'll start to shoot. And then again, she's nervous all over again. But, shot after shot after shot. And then once we kind of get rolling, I show her the back of the camera. And that is the moment where I'm like, she's like, oh, just like that very first client. It's just like the very first client. And of course, people's reactions are all different, right? Some are like energy, and some are like, wow, it's funny because I'm like a very high energy person. So sometimes I'm like, I had a lovely client last week and she was so soft, and, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm yelling at her, but I was just so, animated. And
the Italian in you, right?
yeah. And she was like, she didn't say much, but the look on her face was just that she knew and she understood that she's good.
Right.
She's good. And so it's all those kind of little things, but it's that moment that I think really makes women feel like
So do
it's,
you let them bring in their own playlist?
yeah. So I ask, and so some women want to just show up, right? And that's okay. So I do like the full client closet. I have an awesome playlist of music. Like, you know, I have essential oils here. So if women are not sensitive to essential oils, I will have them pick their scent for the day. And so we really customize the experience to each woman. So if a woman wants to just show up, that's cool. Like I've got the closet, I've got the music and all that kind of thing. But I do encourage women to bring their own playlists in, because then we just turn the music on the speakers and it's just the day is all about them. It's the photos, like you know, you're going to get amazing photos. That's a given, you know, like I'm 100% sure about that. But what the bigger thing that you'll get is you'll get this like beautiful day of just self-care and self-discovery, and know that you are so much more than enough, you know, and it's just about indulging in your own divine feminine magic.
Can we go tomorrow?
This is like a life-changing experience. I would imagine that many women leave
Yes.
and feel like this has been like a life-altering experience. You know what else I was just thinking about when you were setting the stage for what it looks like when a woman shows up? Like what you do is you create an environment that is safe and loving. And you know what? When we have that safety and love, we can blossom and we can bloom. Like that's what it is. So whether you're taking pictures or you're taking someone through a breath work session or you're leading them in a dance class, whatever it is, the environment that we set that is safe and loving, it allows for a woman to bloom and to be all of who she was born to be. And so you are just like the embodiment of that. I mean, I could even feel myself being in your studio, walking through that process and going, oh yeah, like you're so good at that. You're so good at helping them feel safe and seen and loved.
And that is essentially the divine feminine, right? Is like,
yeah,
knowing that we're safe and secure so that we can then let like all the like branches grow and all the flowers blossom and all of that, like that in itself. But we have to have that feeling of that it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, so, and you ladies, Siri and Amber, you guys do the exact same thing, right? Like that's exactly what you do here. And so thank you for creating this space for women to, for, you know, me today to come and just be able to be myself. And I feel so safe and held being in your presence. And then the women who are listening, you know, for allowing this space for them. So thank you so much.
I love
You're so
also like
welcome.
what you do, because I think a lot of women have, based on whatever past conditioning we have, like, oh, I'm not sexy or I'm not whatever. And so the fact is that every single woman has her own innate sensuality and sexuality. And it's about like feeling safe and feeling seen to express that. And then it's like, when you get to experience your own sensuality and sexuality, it's so wonderful, right? Like not for anybody else. And that's exactly what this is. It's like, I get to experience that. And it's so beautiful, like to give that gift to women. Like, damn, I'm sexy, or I'm hot, or you know, like,
and
what a gift.
I feel like when you are doing it for like the validation of others, it's all out here, right? It's all like so superficial and it's all, but when you connect that part in yourself, then it's like deep.
Yes.
You know, and then it's like rooted and yeah, it's different, you know? And I think that's what we should strive for.
Siri, we got to take a trip to Vancouver.
I want to already.
I do
even
offer,
before this.
I do offer, I do offer that. Actually, I have a lot of women who come in from out of town So we put them up at this beautiful resort downtown Vancouver, and then we send a car to pick them up the next morning. They come in,
Oh my gosh.
we've got the client closet and the whole thing. And
Okay.
then a weekend out of it. I would love to have you ladies in. I do offer that. And I love to do that because I love to know that women have traveled to have this experience. It's just, I don't know if there's anything that lights me up more than that, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would love to have you ladies in the studio.
Have you done one, Siri? I've never done a boudoir photo shoot. I'm 49 years old. It's about time. It's time.
I've done photo shoots, not a boudoir. No.
Yeah, no, photo shoots. That's
Yeah.
this is a whole new experience.
It's a whole thing, and I would
whole thing.
love to give you ladies this experience. And I mean, whenever you knock at my door, know that it's open for you. I would absolutely have you in here. It would be just the absolute best to work with both of you.
Yay. Well, so
That's exciting.
anything else that's juicy that you're working on that's new or that you're just so passionate about that you really just want to share and feel good about? And
You know, thank you for asking. I love what I do every day. And also I feel like there is so much more, so many more women that I can help, you know, on another level where it combines like the boudoir and the empowerment. And, you know, so I'm actually working with a very dear friend of mine on creating like an empowerment week where it would be a retreat where women would come in and we would go through the whole self-development and self-love and all of that, and then wrap it up with a bow with a boudoir photo shoot. So we're working on the details, but that's coming in 2024. And I'm so excited for that because, you know, I get to watch the unraveling happening here as I do the photos, but I feel like it would be such a cool experience to have all of the work being done during that week, right?
yes.
Opening and the unraveling and all of that, and, you know, combining the breath work and the Reiki and the like all of that, the movement and just everything. And then at that very end, like the transformation has already happened. And now let's seal it with the boudoir shoot.
Right.
It'd be so cool. So I'm very excited to offer that. And we're just like working out the details, and yeah, coming soon.
Very, very cool. And you gave me the idea that, you know, Amber and I give retreats, and so maybe you need to come to one of our retreats and be the boudoir photography wrap up at the end of one of our retreats.
I would be absolutely honored to do that for you and for your community. There would be nothing more beautiful for me than to be able to do that for you. I would love to.
That'd be pretty cool.
And if you need someone to come and do breath work and dance at your retreat, let us know too.
Oh yeah.
100%. Absolutely, absolutely.
Lots of possibilities here. All right.
So fun.
Well, any last words for just women that might be feeling like they're on the edge of, you know, wanting to come work with you, or, you know, someone local to them, but they just feel like, oh, I can't spend money on that, or I can't do that, or that's not me.
Yeah,
You know, say,
honestly, I've had so many women who come in and they're like, I've been wanting to do this for years, you know, but life isn't meant to be lived later. Like, do brave shit now, you know, and get on that outside of your comfort zone and like do the shoot. Because why prolong that feeling of self-love and acceptance and all of that? Like, you know, I understand the hesitation because we have all this stuff that we're coming up against. But at some point, you just have to rip off the Band-Aid and go for it, because on the other side of that is where the transformation lies. And, you know, whether you work with me or with anybody else, find someone who, you know, you love their work, yes, but talk to them on the phone, follow them on their socials, like really get to know them and work with someone that you vibe with. Like that's something that's really important. Knowing that you can connect with that person, because the connection with the photographer is so important. So that's my advice. And the investment bit, the boudoir experience is an investment. Absolutely. But I feel like the investment is such an important part outside of what my expenses and what it costs for me to run a business. That has nothing to do with it. What has to do is the investment that you make when you say, yes, I'm going to do it. And that financial bit is needed for you to know that this is a little bit scary and you're going to go all in. Because if it doesn't make you a little bit uncomfortable, will you go all in? Will you really get out of it what you could? If it does make you a little bit uncomfortable, it's a little bit scary, like all those things, and you do it anyway, that's where the intense transformation happens. And not just in this, in anything in life, right? Like I feel like I have grown so much as a person on the other side of each investment I've made into myself, whether financial or time or both. And I think that's a really important piece. So if that's what's holding you back, that should be propelling you forward, because that means that you're going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I feel like it's such an exercise from the moment you probably start to think about working with a boudoir photographer, hopefully to like the moment that you finish, like that's a whole journey of worthiness.
That's right. It's your journey. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And when you invest in yourself, you are saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to yourself. And, don't downplay that. Like, don't always go for the sale rack and make that investment. You might not make like every investment, but pick a couple things and go for it. Go all in, because saying yes to yourself will change your life way more than doing a bunch of little like safe things ever will,
Okay, say yes to yourself and do brave shit now.
Yes.
Say yes to yourself and do brave shit now. I love it.
Yes.
Right? That's
yes.
it. You're worthy. And I mean, gosh, the investment that Siri and I made and you made to work
I was just thinking
Kathy Heller's container is why we're here right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we said yes. We all said yes to ourselves. We said yes to something that felt like it was the right thing for us to do, our next, and here we are.
That's right.
Here we are.
Yep. That's right. Here we are.
Amazing.
Tina, you're amazing.
Amazing.
Any woman that works with you is so fortunate. And I can just tell that it transforms their life. That's incredible. Thank you.
Siri, I think you're absolutely amazing. Amber, I think you are absolutely amazing. And I feel fortunate to be able to do this work. So I'm just as fortunate as any client who ever walks in the door. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We love you. You are amazing. We're going to share your stuff with all of our people.
I love you back 100%. Thank you so much for having me on, ladies.
You're welcome.
Have a good rest of your day.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. I gave her the warning because Sarah, I told her, but she didn't see the email. So I was like doubly like.
Make sure, I'm in love with her, by the way.
What's not to be in love with?
She's just, well, I mean, she's like, how, like, she's beautiful, but like her energy is just so loving and like
appreciative and grounded and calm and well, I want to book a boudoir shoot.
You should. Oh my God, that story that you shared
with her
about with your dad, like my heart, because I just think like every single woman has a story like that. like in some way.
Yes, yes,
We
that's right.
all,
Well, and
we
I have
all
10
have,
more stories. I have 10 more
right,
stories like that.
right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you do.
We all have, yep. We all have stories, and they stick with us. And then all of a sudden we wake up and we're like, wait a minute, why the fuck did I let one human, I mean, granted, when it's your parent, it's like significant and more impactful, but still, like, one human, like, changed the course of my life in the way that I felt about myself and in the way that I felt safe to show up. Right? Like, you didn't ever want to wear shorts again. I didn't want to shine my light on stage because moms complained that I got the lead 2 years in a row when I was 12 years old. They complained to the director, and I was devastated
Well,
because
why did you need to find out about that?
I don't even know how I found out. I just remember I was Daisy May in Little Abner. It was my first ever, like, I'd never done musical theater, and I loved it so much. And I was just a kid, and I just sang my heart out, and I got the lead. And then the next year I went back and I got the lead again, Kim and Bye Bye Birdie. And I don't know how I found out, but I remember it was this girl and her mom complained, and a couple of other moms were complaining, like, because it was a paid thing. Like, it was a summer youth conservatory that you signed up your kid for the,
Oh,
like a summer camp. And
oh,
so
I see.
I guess they just thought that it wasn't fair,
I
right?
see.
But it absolutely changed the course of, like, how, like, wow, people don't like it when you are the star. And wanting people to like me was like the most important thing ever. So
Right.
that became more important than, like, doing the thing that I loved the most and felt the most in my joy, right? And you could have been wearing shorts all these years and showing off those gorgeous legs. Right?
I mean, that's still a thing for me, is like loving my legs, So anyway,
Anyway,
Tina, Tina's gorgeous on every level. We love what she does. We love her being in her purpose and her mission.
yes,
We love what she's doing for women in the world.
yes.
And then adding that aspect of the retreats,
Mm,
I think is
beautiful.
incredible. It's so incredible.
It is so incredible. Yeah. It's just marrying everything that all of her wisdom, all of her gifts, all the things that she loves, right?
I mean, we're gonna wrap up, but like, just imagine getting those photos,
I know.
and like, especially for moms who've had babies, or anyone who's like had body issues, and
Mhm.
seeing yourself the way
Yeah.
that you are, truly, like, in the way, like, that's gotta be so life changing for every aspect of your life going forward.
I agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. And it's like what I was saying to her, and I've shared this with you before, like, there have been times in my life when I was younger where my body was, great, but, like, I didn't love myself. So it didn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was a match, do you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so now, today, at 49 years old, my body is not what it looked like at 30,
Hmm.
but I love myself so much more than I did then. I just know myself more. Like, I value who I am, my heart, my spirit, like, and so, yeah, my body, I mean, how I feel and how I look is still important, but matching the insides and the outsides feels, feels more rewarding. And so I feel like what Tina does, she gives that gift to women, like the gift of self-love. And so it's reflected in the external.
Yes. I was just thinking about that Audrey Hepburn. No, not Audrey Hepburn. Who's the actress? The other
Cool.
actress.
Greta Garbo.
No, no, no. It's the same name, not Audrey. Well, the cute little twiggy one with the dark hair, that's Yeah. Yeah. Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What'd she say?
I'm thinking I'm getting Catherine and Audrey. Okay. So
Oh, yeah.
she was so beautiful, into her older years. And
Right.
there's some quote that's like, she talks about, to have a beautiful smile, speak generously, to have beautiful eyes, see the love. Like, she would talk about how to be beautiful by being internally this generous, loving person. And that's how you be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you be beautiful.
And isn't that true? Like when you know somebody, like the more that you get to know their insides, they either become more attractive or less
Yep.
attractive,
That's right.
and it's
Totally.
like the insides amplify the external beauty.
Yes. All right.
My daughter, I just have to tell you, she's so cute. I was showing her like a replay of our thing yesterday, and she
Oh,
goes, Mom, you're so beautiful. I was like, oh, thank you, Doss. Like, isn't that so sweet? Like, I
that's
don't know,
really
just
sweet.
she's 11. I'm 49. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that she sees me that way, it just,
Well,
or maybe she sees my heart.
yeah, it's really hard to see how beautiful you are, Amber.
You know what I mean, though? Like, from an 11-year-old's point of view.
No, it's beautiful, and also if anyone looks at you and goes, "She's not beautiful," then what? I don't know what they're seeing. So
Then I don't want to know them.
I don't know I don't know what they're
I don't know.
about, thinking about. I mean, it's like, duh. Anyway,
Oh,
all right.
anyway. All right.
Well, love
I
you,
love you. I love you
and
too.
thank you, Amber, for being my co-host.
Thank
And
you.
I'm having so much fun.
I am too. I love these conversations so much.
Yeah.
They make my heart happy.
I'm just laughing because I'm like, how do we'll just keep talking forever.
Keep talking. All right.
Okay.
Until next time.
Okay, guys. Bye.